all your the show, and it's pretty interesting. Like that you guys are talking about all those topics and discussions, and it's very interesting. So that's why
Great.
I'm glad that I'm part of the show now, and wanted to chat with you guys.
Well,
Yeah, and
cool.
thanks, Ketul, for joining us today. And it was the
Yeah.
last one, and he wanted to join, so I said, okay, let's join today. I mean, today is start of Wednesday, and we can discuss about payments and other things as well. And right
Oh,
here, I mean, he is on time, and he showed up not
You're
like
in
other
the
startups.
restaurant. You're in the restaurant industry, right?
No, no, no.
I'm in the
So
payment industry, so
yeah,
Payment industry,
yeah, go ahead,
aka
Ankit.
For
Sorry.
fintech.
lodging restaurants mostly, though, right?
You're in fintech.
Is it like
Payment industry.
fintech?
Yep, that's what they call the payment industry. It's fintech.
Is it fintech? Are you in fintech?
Sorry, your voice is breaking.
Okay.
Ketul,
Okay.
can you rejoin, because I think we are not getting your voice as well. If you can rejoin, I think things will be
Can you
better.
log out and log back in?
Yeah, let me do that. Hold on.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you. He's real cute.
Yeah, he is in Maryland. He's a good friend, and so we
So
wanted to
it's
do about
lodging and
payment. And
right. So is he in fintech? Is that the business he's in fintech?
he's into the payment industry. Basically, he works with the Shiji group in US.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's a solution engineer there. So he'll talk more about it once he joins back. And let's see. But fintech and payment is, I mean, I think it's one of the same thing. There might be some different modules in different industries,
A
and
little bit.
this is one of the this is one of the what you can the biggest industry, because when you talk about online, it's all about online transactions and money, and how you can manage your money and how you can do it. And you just asked the question that what happened to that funds which were there, and what, and I mean, it's locked down. So what happened to those funds? So
Why is it moving? Why?
yeah, it's not moving. It's not moving. So maybe it's stuck at a place, and then I mean, that person. I mean, I think that the person or maybe the bank who have that money, they are doing good. Apart from that, everyone is looking for money.
They're not doing
So
their part. They capped all the loans that go back out to recycle.
yeah, maybe whatever it is.
PPP, right, was meant to help cover payroll.
Yeah,
That stimulus, when you cover payroll, what those people do what with that money? They're able to go spend. But somewhere that cycling stopped, right? So the banks who were giving loans for the PPP, the money stopped. If they're back in the banks again, it needs to come back out. But what they
true.
did was they capped the loan system. So not everybody got the PPP. And so when you didn't get the PPP, what happened? The money stopped. So the people who have all the money are the banks. Now, who owns all the banks in the US? Do you know?
China's.
China. China owned all of it. You know, when Bitcoin started, it was started by a Chinese person, right?
Yeah.
You understand Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin, the very first Bitcoin, the idea is everybody put their cash into the system, right?
Yeah.
And you spend the electronic system, which eventually didn't go anywhere, and it would get higher and lower, just like the stock market, right?
Yep.
But who got all the money?
China.
Okay.
And
So they have all the cash. So when you go to cash out, there's no money to cash out because it's not real money.
yeah,
So the thing was,
it's a vicious circle basically. If you enter, it's difficult to get out.
it is a very vicious. I mean, if you got it built right and you already have the tangible assets to purchase through it, it works great. You know, say if blockchain Bitcoin were for medical care, right? If it was your insurance, right? That's a perfect closed system where nobody gets, middleman gets their hand into the cookie jar. So that's a closed system, and the transaction fees are very, very low, and the money is infinite, right? It's an infinite cycle, and that's what you want. But in just regular Bitcoin, where they were telling you, oh, you can go buy coffee with it, you can go buy, clothes with it. That never happened, and all that money went into one place, and the only person who owned it was China. So this is what I tell people: we don't own our money. But welcome, Ketul.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Now, can you hear me correctly?
So much better, so much better.
Yeah. So this is what the new way of greeting
New
people.
way,
Huh?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad, and thank you for allowing me. to be part
Yeah,
Thank
of
you
this.
for joining us from Maryland,
good.
such a beautiful place. Share a little bit about who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it, but also what's going on in your area. But share about who you are.
Yeah, so as you know, like my name is Ketul Shah. I'm working in the payment industry for last 10 years. And I played like a different roles, like starting with business analysts and then systems analysts and then product managers and solution engineers. And currently I'm working with a company called Shiji Payments. It's actually a uh, mainland China based company, but it's all over the world. It's globally, it's in Australia, Hong Kong. Basically, it's providing a payment solutions and the variety of products for for the lodging industries or restaurants or retails. So and I'm based out in US. We have a headquarters in Atlanta and uh, Bethesda, DC, which is like close to Washington D.C.
Yeah,
So uh, and we provide like a lot of different products, and basically the whole point that I wanted to talk about is about the payments, how the payment works, because
yeah,
I get like questions almost like every day from different channels or different sources that like how does payments work and what is the payment do or payment gateways do, or how that help the customers, how they help the merchants or consumers and everything. So I thought like that this is the perfect time that especially everyone is working from home, and pretty much like all the businesses are ready to start now after this all
yeah,
pandemic and the whole situation. And especially a lot of businesses are struggling. Like I heard that JC Penney's filing for bankruptcy and all those. So a lot of like retails are in very bad shape. uh, Lodging industries, like yesterday I was listening to the Marriott CEO Arnie, and he was mentioning that the revenues like dropped down to almost 40%, and this is the highest they ever seen after like 9/11. That was not that big uh disaster, but compared to this the loss is like huge. So how to come out of it as a winner, because uh some are winners, some are losers, some file bankruptcy, some are like coming back with the good business proposition, and like so so what is exactly like how to tackle, and especially everything is going in digital world now.
yeah.
So that is what like the whole
No,
the time is.
no, that would be a great discussion to have, and also our viewers would like to know how the payment industry works, because you might be talking about people who are already into the business and they do a lot of payments and they are still having a problem how to do it. But there are a lot of viewers who wanted to start their business online because of this COVID thing, and this will be the new digital revolution as well, because a lot of companies who are traditional businesses, they wanted to convert into online business now, and payment is one of the factors they are concerned about.
Yep.
So I think, yeah, we should cover that topic regularly. But I mean, please share some of your views and how the payment industry works, so that we'll get to know more about it.
Sure. So like what is like the most basic question, and like I wanted to put it in like very simple language so like everyone can understand
Yeah,
what is the basic meaning of payments or payments gateway or payment services. Is basically like as you are a merchant, right? Is basically from your connects your. Are you guys listening to me, right?
yeah,
Sorry.
Yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
We just put you on.
Yeah. So the whole point is like that like the from the merchant point of view, like the payments connects their store to their bank account, and that is the whole uh the meaning of the payments. Now how that works, so the whole point about the payments is like how do I charge the customers when the customers comes to my store to buy my goods and services? How do I charge them? What kind of options I have available? There are a lot of old legacy the process that we already been aware, which is like using the plastic cards or using the paper money. But do you really think that now in this situation that like customers are carry that much money with them, with with them, especially with like a lot of infections and a lot of like spread of the viruses and all. Plus, like everyone is like moving from uh, from the store to the digital now, especially like look at the old school the renting movie thing. Like we used to go to that Blockbuster store and buy like the CD and watch movie. Now everything is like on your fingertips, like just go online, stream it. It's more digitalized. Same thing for the payments. Why payments are not changing or not moving to the digitalized world? So especially now, we basically, like, my goal is to like help all my merchants in order to educate them, like what to use, how to use the payment industry. Like for example, they're like Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay,
Yeah.
Alipay, WeChat. Everyone wanted to pay through their phone or through
Yeah.
their watch or probably like their earrings,
Yeah.
whatever, God knows. So how do we help them to take the money out of the customer so they can able to survive in this industry and like sell their goods and services? So this is what we do. We have a lot of different products available, which is like basically, let's say like you are like a normal mom and pop shop, right? You don't have your website. People used to come to your store, wait for like 5 minutes line, order like some a grilled cheese sandwich and stuff like that. Now, especially this whole situation, you can't really go into the store. Only thing is available is online ordering and curbside pickup. So how that we can help that small mom and pop shop? So there is a lot of different ways, and so many different players in these industries are trying to find the way to help them. So the one of the thing is like, okay, call the store, call the local mom and pop shop and ask them like, hey, I wanted to order this sandwiches, how can I do that? And then they ask your number, like merchant ask consumers number and send the link on their phone. And all you have to do is like go to the link, pay, order, and then your order will be ready to pick up. So technically no devices, no plastic cards, no paper money involved in the payment. So this is what like the changing the world now towards the contactless payments, and more like how Europe's and Asia, they already adopted this you know
Yeah.
uh, method, but now in the US that is what the trend is going now.
Yeah.
And this is what the normal basic definition of the payments like. And you can pay through your plastic card, it's obvious it's not going to go anywhere, or your cash is still going to be available. But more advanced, like now new generations wanted to use a lot of like new functionality. So basically like the consumers are driving this to the customer, sorry, the merchant, that
Yeah.
have this new functionality available on your location, so we can use it. And on the other side also, merchant also wanted to use this because they they want money from whatever the source, however it takes,
Yeah.
they need money from the customer. So this is exactly the balance is. And I think I read somewhere like very interesting quote is like, the payments is nothing but like a pillow. Until you use it, you don't know what's the benefit of the pillow. So that is what exactly like you have to start using it. The payment gateways and so many different players in the industries are available today providing the same
Yeah.
services. Plus, the one of the main thing about is this is what we talk about is the payments and money and all that, but the most important is the security.
Yeah.
How your
I'm glad
process
you
is
brought that
secure.
up.
Yep.
Exactly.
True. Security, and as well as Ketul, in India, the problem is that how soon you'll get your money back, because
Yeah.
generally the lagging time is 3 days in India. I'm not sure about other countries, but when the money comes from country A to country B, that also takes maybe 5 to 7 working days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then and then
Exactly.
there are a lot of transaction amount as well. There are a lot of transaction percentage which merchant or a customer have to bear over the payment as well.
Exactly, yeah. And especially like on this no show
Yeah.
charges or like a card not
Yeah.
present scenarios. Like, there are like a lot of that chargeback happens. And at the end, like, the who's losing money is the merchant. So
Merchant.
how, like this mm, you don't know where that transaction initiated, right? Who is initiated? You don't know until you have that all sort of like, the the process, like 3D secure, or like your face recognitions or stuff like that, like, or your, like in old school days, like we had like that debit pin number that nobody
Yeah.
knows. So all this thing, like, which measures that, like, oh, this is a legit payment or
Yeah.
legit transactions, or this is like a fraud transaction. But I agree, like, they're like, it takes like 5 to 7 days sometimes to get the money to their account. So that is why, like, nowadays, like, we also have a different, like a host capture process. Like, it's very like a technical payment terms. So like, it's basically like, for example, like, let's say you run a small hotel, right? And you run the transact, meaning you charge the money from the customers, you check in for so many customers, and now all the money is sitting on your, the location. You run the
Yeah.
authorization, right?
Okay.
But now, until you settle that batch, you will not
Yeah.
get the money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So the people need to understand that part. Now we also have the new ways of like host capturing. Basically, like, if we take that transaction and every night we settle it, regardless of, like, uh, you're doing it or not at your end.
Okay.
So that way,
Okay.
like, your money flow is gonna be like circulating. You keep getting
Yeah.
it like every single day. Like, we settle the batches and you get the money. So there are a lot of new ways, like, it's gonna come up to
Yeah.
basically grow this industry.
And
No.
Ketu, what do you think about a lot of still there are a lot of fraud transactions going around, and fraud means people who are doing those frauds. I mean, it's not like there's system based fraud, but how you settle those fraud transactions?
So basically, like, let's say if you are initiating a transaction, right, as a consumer, and now I said, like, after processing the transaction, I feel like that, oh, I don't want to pay for this, and I call my credit card company that, hey, somebody order on my card, and this is like, block this transaction or whatever it is, right? Basically, there is always a, the situation, the case is like, how the merchant is processing that transaction is the most important thing. If, let's say, for example, all you care is like, okay, get the money through any e-com business in e-com platform, like, I don't care whether they put their fingerprints or like, the facial recognition, I don't care, as long as you take the card numbers and process the transaction, I'm worried and I get my money. So at that time, there is a more chances that the merchant is losing that case if this happened,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
the merchant is not using all those security measures to prevent that transaction. And that's why nowadays, like, there's so many, like, the Apple especially, like, they have like good smart facial recognition technique,
Yeah.
right, which is very expensive for the normal small and
Yeah.
like, mom and pop shop, like, to
Yeah.
have that. But now the Apple is also open that integration door, like anybody can access that facial recognition on the Apple system, and, like, use that to take the payment. So there are a lot of ways to secure your payments, and there are always like battle between like merchant and the consumer, and whoever win the case is like whoever measures all those security part. So this is what like we do also. There's like a lot of point to point encryptions, and
Yeah.
uh, so many things come in play, like, to secure the transactions. And 3D secure is also like basically
Yeah.
connect with the uh, e-com industries. There is like, you see like a mutual authentication, like, they send you like some code on your cell phone and you accept that code or something like that. So there are so many ways to secure
Yeah.
that payment, that is you who's initiating the transaction.
Right. There's two fact, three fact authentications and all different kinds of things that can be very irritating at times, but it's all there to protect us. It's not there to harm us. But I agree with you on that.
Yep.
The how good do you think facial recognition really is?
It is like, especially like nowadays everyone is using, and like, for example, all the banks, like, if you log in through their mobile app, they also have facial recognitions, and Apple has it, and then a lot of other phones has it too. So it's a widely used now. Obviously there are always a loopholes there
Yeah.
in any system, but so far, like, compared to like, you put like 3-digit debit card pin number or like credit card signature, this is like more reliable than all those like
Yeah.
legacy old school technique, which is.
I
But
think I think it's very interesting. I've watched it grow over the years, and especially when the FBI was dabbling in it, and they would scan my face just to show how it would work, right? Oh, come over here, Kim. Get your face scanned, and I go, oh, it's going to pull up my sister. You watch, it's going to pull my sister up, and sure enough, Hillary Clinton would always pull up.
Wow. That, as I said, there are always a
I
loophole.
have a sister, my attorney. I would be with my team of people, right? We'd be touring around and everything. I'd be with my team of people. My attorney, Kim, you got to quit doing that to those guys. They really think Hillary's your sister. but seriously, I watched it grow over the years. I saw a lot of mistakes and flaws in it because I kind of know what it's doing, and it's improved some because now you do a 360, right? When you scan, you do 2 sets of 360s. But occasionally it confuses me with my real sister, not Hillary, but my other real sister. but
I still believe, Ketul, that fingerprint is more comfortable and more secure than the face recognition. What do you think?
But like a lot of people are using different kind of lotions and so many things which affects the payment, and the whole point is like
it's not
how
accurate.
you don't want to, as a customer, right, you don't want to go through all that, putting that thing and then lifting. So
Okay.
the whole point is have like more easy way, recognize me, and then you know process it, because I'm the one sitting as a payment.
Yeah.
I,
Authenticate.
I have money in my bank account, so just
Yeah.
you know instead of
You
like
are the key,
relying on my plastic
and you are
card.
your own key, basically.
Yeah.
I'm curious, because I am a engineer for well over 35 years and worked in telecom and cybersecurity for many years. I speak on the subject. And I'm curious to see if there's a good enough hacker out there that can create a holograms of people and cheat the system to use facial recognition in the future. I am curious to see if that will ever happen. I'm not
Like,
trying to put it down. I'm just saying be
Yeah.
aware because
Yeah.
some of the stuff coming out in the future is something to be leery of. So
yeah, and you're absolutely right. I was reading one article 2 days ago about how the 3D printers, is creating your, the face facial recognition, and use it on your behalf. So there are like lot of things is gonna come in play. So I agree on that.
here's what could happen. A hacker could get into the Apple facial recognition system, steal all of facial recognitions, right, and rebuild them into a hologram, scan them. I'm just telling you how hackers can work, and steal the money from everyone's account if they were an aggressive hacker. But they
Yeah,
could do that. They could. So I'm not trying to put it down. I'm just saying that that's
You have
the
to be more careful.
there, right now there are what 2.8 billion open doors in the systems out there, right? So
mhm.
the reason is because of all of these and all the sensors, right? I don't have one anymore. I got rid of my watch. It scared me. Um, but Siri's scary. I mean, I'm walking through the CES conference and I had Siri on and I started talking about Alexa because we're at CES, right? All of a sudden my watch starts vibrating like crazy. And I go, what's that? And Siri goes, hey, comparing Siri to Alexa, that's like comparing apples to not apples. And I go, wait, Siri, you're not supposed to have an attitude.
Yeah, and a lot of people are having issues with that
Yeah.
listening devices. Like I'm not sure if you guys heard the news, but there was a hotel, Best Western Hotel in Los Angeles. Like they were using, the Alexa, right, to for in their hotel to order the room services and all those other part like check in, check out, light on. But then a lot of customers are complaining because they are not comfortable with having listening device in their room,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you don't know what it does. It suddenly it activates at certain point, and you don't know, you didn't even say the word. So,
Yeah.
and then they remove all the devices from their hotel. So that was incident happened. There's always when you are go towards more extreme level of easiness, you have all those consequences. Like you open a door for a lot of other things
Oh,
to
yeah.
basically
So,
affect
Ketul, Can we
Yeah,
also see a voice bot? A voice bot where we can do the payments. Is it coming in the future?
like
That's
right now, no, there is a one thing is like, might coming soon is like the Visa is working on it to have a ring payment, like, all your wedding ring have like, some sort of, or if you don't have a ring, it's still like, it's easy tap
Mm.
contactless things, like all you have to do is tap. So that is what I heard. But I haven't heard about the voice recognition thing. But it could be like, why not, like as long as
Yeah.
like
Nick would like
anything
the
is secure.
ring. Nick would like the ring because he loved Padron, which was a ring, a smart ring, at CES a few years ago. They called them smart rings, right?
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
control your computers and things like that.
In
But
fact, smart ring is coming up in the form of a mouse as well, and you can do a lot of facial recognition and a lot of virtual thing as well using that device, and that could play as a gadget for you. So it's easy to integrate payments just tapping with that because it has a chip. But it's just that we just need to see how it will be useful for the practical situation and how people will use it, because we have a smart watch and then we're talking about smart ring, and then we have smartphones, and then we have AirPods.
smart
So
earrings too. We got smart
But
earrings.
but I think the most widely, like, that I see is like a future is the phone, because nobody lives without their phone. You know,
yeah,
so the phone will be the next point of sale or PMS. The device. Basically, you can
yeah,
do everything with the phone, and like, right now, like I can turn on, like, even though I book the reservation online, right, and before I reach to my hotel, I can turn on my AC or whatever through my phone to my room. I know my room code and everything, so it's easily available nowadays. And then it's
yeah,
and especially like the trending is changing now, as I said on the beginning of this call, like, the digitalize. If you heard about the company called Yoxi or something, they actually deliver the gas to your doorstep.
oh,
So you don't need to even go to the gas station to fill up the gas in your car. They come to your door. So everything is online. They and like the retails are in bad shape nowadays. So everyone has to think like, how do we
yeah,
make it more smarter, the
So,
industry.
Carnival Cruise a few years ago created a medallion. Medallion. It was the medallion, their medallion cruise lines. And when the guests registered to do the cruise, they would start collecting information about the guest, right? And then when you
Hmm.
before you came, or maybe when you got there, they gave you a medallion to wear. You either wore it around your neck. It was beautiful, beautiful piece of jewelry, or as a watch. And everywhere it tracked you everywhere on the ship,
Yeah.
and knew exactly what you were doing. You could put money on the account and it would pay for things. When you're going away from the ship, it could, help track you as well. But what was really cool is like it knew what temperature you wanted your room. So when you left your room, it might adjust the temperature so it's not using up electricity. But as it noticed that you were coming back to your room, it would adjust the temperature. And as you get to the room, the door would open for you. It became your concierge. It was your digital concierge. So if
yeah,
you were standing in line waiting to do something, and maybe you were there too long and it was the evening time, and it knew that you liked a particular kind of wine, a hostess would come up with that particular kind of wine for you. So they really had this down to a science, utilizing the technology. But it was payments too, which I thought was interesting. Is that all the payments were in there, and it came as a beautiful piece of jewelry. I asked the simple question, why not this, right? Why not using that? And that would take too much collaboration with the different phones, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or you develop an app for it, and you got to develop an app for everything. So this way they controlled everyone's movement. They knew where most people were. The only thing they didn't know is if somebody fell off the ship.
Mm.
That's the only thing they would know. I'm like, wait a minute. You can't determine when somebody falls off a ship. I got a problem with this one. But
Yeah,
technology has gone that way, right? It
exactly. Yeah, and especially like now Royal Caribbean cruise lines, like, they come up with the, like, the phone app texting thing available on their app. And basically they also put the digital wallet in their app, so you can link your card and you can pay through it too. So
yeah.
you don't need to have like a Wi-Fi or anything available. Basically, tap your phone and it will work, and
Wow.
you don't need to even wear those like nice bracelets or the necklaces or anything,
It's
as
all,
long as you carry your phone. So
it's all
lot Yeah, exactly. So a lot of things gonna change soon.
Ketul, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is there a third party payment thing? The concept is I've got a game that I have in mind. So if I'm playing against you and we bet on the winner, so I put in $50, you put in $50. Is there a third party that can hold the money and
I
release
can
the
hold
money
it.
to the winner?
I can hold it.
yeah. Yeah, we hold it too. Yeah, there's
No,
plenty of people who
is
hold it.
there a third party gateway that can hold the
Y- y-
money?
Yeah, so it depends on like how you integrate your whatever that server is, or like a
Okay.
gaming app or anything, how
Yep.
you
Yep.
integrate with it. So like for example, like let's say you design an app, which your app is integrated to one of the other gateway, which is a third party
Okay.
gateway. And then
Okay.
let's say we bet, right? So you put $50, I put $50. So basically what
Yep.
they do is like they authorize $100 and
Yep.
put it on their gateway
Okay.
until you settle. And the way like whoever wins, I wins or you wins,
Yep.
basically you have to build the entire process,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
basically they settle that transaction towards my account or your account, the way.
Okay.
So that is what the gateway payment gateways like basically stands for, to hold the fund until
Yep.
you finalize or until you
Transaction.
confirm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Got
but
that.
there are like
Got that.
so
Oh,
many different
yeah.
meanings of the payment gateways do.
So the
Yeah.
So
blockchain,
Ketul,
that's how it started. Blockchain started as a means to do a
yeah,
transaction payment. So, but based on the transaction was completed and the payment came through, because that was a huge problem for a lot of people who were working. So the money would be sitting like in an escrow account, or like you
Yep.
say, a
Yep.
payment gateway, right? But it's almost like the escrow account. So the money's sitting there, and as soon as the handshake's done, the money transfers to where it's supposed to.
Yeah,
It's brilliant. It just there's a lot of issues. There's too many of them out there, right? So that it's very very hard to.
exactly. And that's where like the whole our point is, as one of the company who's leading the payments, like what our point is to educate the merchant or
yeah,
educate the consumer that what is good for your business, what is you know beneficiary, and
yeah,
how much like we can help. Like for example, one integration which enables like Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Alipay, WeChat, your cash tenders or your credit card payments or whatever, the way you name it, and the solution is available. That is what everyone's wanted to go for, and how to save money. So that is what the next trend is.
And
Right.
Ketul, if we talk about numbers, how much money CG Group will manage in one day?
So it's like on the US part is it's like almost like more than like 700-800 millions, but I don't know the numbers exactly during
Yeah,
this time. But
yeah,
normally when the business is like, for example, there are like so many big merchants out there, like we call as a shark, and they
yeah,
have like for example like a Wyndham or Marriott or Hyatt, like,
yeah,
or like Applebee's and all that. They have like lots of transactions. Like Victoria's Secret has like almost like 2 to 3 million transactions a day, right?
wow,
So nowadays is like the business is going little slow down and they shut
yeah,
down like some of the stores. But the whole point is like as a company, Shiji will hold like a lot of money or process a lot of money, in terms of not the hold, but like process a lot of money, a lot of transactions. And that is what like its numbers gonna keep increasing, because we have a lot of wide ranges of the product. Like for example, you have a big resort, right? So you also have a lodging where people
yeah,
stay. You also have a restaurants where people eat. You also have a golf resorts where people play golf, or like a spa, saloons. Everything is in built in one resort. So we
yeah,
have a new product line which is coming like end of this year. Is gonna be like a new uh, payment platform, which
okay,
like the one device which connects everywhere and process all those different industries transaction. And that is mainly
okay,
like it's gonna come up soon with like a big customers in the market, and that will, like, that holds a lot of money, a lot of transactions floating around. So it depends, like, I don't know the exact numbers that to share, but it's it's increasing day by day, as I
Great.
said.
So what are the biggest problems that you're finding? And two questions: the biggest problems and challenges that you're finding in this industry, and then the other one is who's your biggest competitor right now?
Yeah, so meaning, in the industry, like, what we have, like, many competitors in the market. As I said, payment industry is very wide. There are a lot of players out there, and everyone has their own technology stack, right? Some have like very old legacy systems, some are like pretty new advanced system. All we compete is with the smartness of the technology, how your technology is smarter, not the legacy portion is gonna die eventually someday, right? You have to come up with the new standards. Like, for example, you can't use iPhone 5 now, but there is iPhone 11 in the market, and none
Right.
of the apps are compatible with iPhone 5. Same thing, you have to keep inventing yourself over and over again, and that is what we believe. We are basically, uh, stand strong with our technology. So I don't want to name any like competitors out there, but it's just like, you compete with your technology, I compete with my technology. Let's see what is the
Great.
best in the out, and and the outcome. And the customers, or we call the customers, but usually the merchants are very smart these days. They want smarter technology, and
Yeah.
they don't want like too much hassle in their payment processing. Like, they're like so many couple, most of the times they're like multiple gateways involved. So like,
Yeah.
custom, like, the merchant even don't know, like, how many layers of your transactions go through until it
True.
settles to the bank. So our goal is to try to limit that portion and have like one standard process, that your money, that, from your store, it's stands here right now, and then it's settle, and you don't need to have like any more new surprises in the middle. Because, as I said, like, uh, one of the company that I was talking to, I didn't even know, while the initial first talk, that they have like a three different gateways that transaction process
Okay.
through. And I'm like, then why you are paying, for this gateway for something, this gateway for some functionality, and then
Yeah.
this gateway for your normal processing, rather than have, consolidate and, like,
Yeah.
go with the smarter gateway, whoever has like everything capable, and then reduce your money. Because let's say like $100 transaction, you pay like, like 4 cents here, 4 cents here, 4 cents here. So by the time your money is like settled, you already lost like 12 or 13 cents out of
Yeah.
that whole hundred
Which
dollar.
is
So
which adds up. Each
yeah, it's
transaction and fee adds up. Can you can you share with us who is a legacy system? Hello, Sharif. Can you
Yes, fine.
share
Thank
a
you.
company that's considered a legacy system?
yeah. So like, for example, there is a Oracle, there is a lot of other,
Okay.
legacy system out there who has a very, uh, like a old system that has a lot of customer base in the market. Like, a lot of customers are using it, and it's pretty stable, pretty good. But like, now, when the world is changing towards a new payment structure, are they able to support that part? That's a big
Right.
question mark,
Are they
and
smart? Right. Are
Yeah.
they
and and they are struggling. They are trying to make sure that, their system also support all these things, and that's why they come up with a new API that has like, uh, more capability in order to process the transaction. So that's why, like, the competitions out there. All you have to know, like, how your systems are more smarter, more quicker to, adopt in the world.
right? No, I think it's definitely the fintech industry is the way it is driven in the last. Nick and I have watched it grow in the last 5 years.
Hmm.
And like you said, there are legacy systems out there. They're not as smart, and because they're not as smart, they're not giving you more value proposition for what you're paying. And so I think that people need to take a look at that, as well as you've apparently invested a lot of money in the security, which Nick and I know are very, very important in the fintech industry. Um,
Yep.
No, this is great. And Nick Palaveda, you got to see him briefly before he went off for a second, and he's back to
Came back.
probably
Well, I saw
questions.
Sharif, our newly minted PhD dude, show up from Malaysia. So I figured, well, I better show up. So
Yeah.
Sharif is here.
Yes.
So this way
Yes.
he can give you the old doctoral drill, but on fintech. But
Okay.
and speaking about fintech, this is the complaint that we get from merchants. You're going to hear this, but the
Mhm.
fees are pretty large, especially with American Express, to process, the credit cards and stuff. Are you able to bring the fees down on these transactions?
Is that question asking towards me?
Well,
Yes.
let's see if there's any other fintech people here. Hank's not fintech. Willie
I
Hill.
thought like you were asking to the doctor, hey, can you
No,
reduce your credit card payment?
you're on the Hampton hot seat, buddy. So the question,
Yeah, so as I said, like, there is like a different players involved, right, in completing one transactions, and they all take out their shares from that transaction. So
sure.
uh, obviously, like on the acquire side or the merchant service side, that I'm not able to answer that, like, that if they are able to reduce. But as a payment gateway provider or like a payment service provider, I always have, like, help my customers in, like, have like very competitive price, to support all these like different payment methods, right? And our goal is to help the customers. Like, we don't care like about, like, 5 cents or 10 cents down, per transaction. It doesn't really matter, as long as like they are happy with us and they are doing that many transactions with us, the
Right,
share comes. But
right.
there are like a lot of possibilities that, like, acquire side, they charge like a high number.
Mhm.
And the going towards like the way the trending is, like, it's gonna go down to
Sure.
support all this, like, the customers. And as I said, like, from my side, definitely, like, we can help, like, as long as like everyone needs to survive. So the certain point is there,
Hmm.
that we have a limit to go down. But obviously, like, always, like, negotiation always happens. I always happy to talk to them, happy to help them in terms of what, like, I think, like, the whole point is, like, right now all the merchants and everyone is like, they need more education about the payments industry,
Of
instead of,
course.
like, cutting down like 2 cents or 3 cents is not going to help. All they have
Yeah.
to know, because I'll give you the example. Like, there is a Applebee's in I guess in San Francisco. So
Yeah.
they had like a lot of fraud happen at after like 10 p.m. to 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. at night, because and like they are losing a lot of money, and they didn't know, because there are like a lot of like uh, they call like a fraudulent applications are not in place, so you can't really track the fraud until somebody raise a question, or until you get the chargeback. So how
Yeah.
to educate that merchant that, hey, you get a lot of fraud happen between this time to this time,
Sure.
right? And that is what they care about, because
Right.
they
Yeah.
save a lot of money over there compared to like saving like 2 cents a transaction.
True.
So we build like a lot of system that track the fraud, track the refunds. The refund is a very critical transactions in any locations. Like, if anytime you initiate a refund, you have to make sure who initiate the refund, how is that valid, is that legit, is that like linked to any previous transactions, all that sort of, right? So the whole point is like how to educate the customer or the merchant. That is the most important thing right now that I see. And I personally, like, I don't really care if they come to me or come to other companies or come to different companies, as long as they know what
Yeah.
they are stepping into. That is most important thing.
Right.
And that is what I do. Like, I educate my customers. I always have a like 1 hour call, 2 hours call, just to talk about payments, talk about like each transactions, and how the different payment methods like help to
Hmm.
grow your business. That is most important. Like, as I said, like, probably like nowadays, like, next generation is not going to carry any cash, not going to carry any
Right.
credit cards with them, maybe not going to carry anything else. Everything is on digital on their mobile app. So are your local mom and pop shop are uh, adopting that culture or not? Because you're losing a lot of business out there.
Hmm.
They're not going to come to you if you're not taking their payments through their mobile phone. So that is what the important, and how you're gonna do that. That is what we're gonna guide them.
All right. No, I agree with you that you have to
How
take.
easy to set up the payment gateway to Shiji?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, Ankit.
How easy to set up the payment gateway with you if we hire you? And what are the initial mode of I mean fees or commission? Do you charge any upfront fees or it's just a commission?
No, so it is like it's pretty easy process that we have. We establish. So basically, like let's say you are like a if you're like a merchant and you have a let's say you either you have a point of sale devices or PMS available, or if you
Yeah,
don't have, if you have available, we can integrate to your payment whatever the device you have, and then it's like process it smoothly. And we basically charge like the labor, the man work to establish that connection, and that's all. Other than that, we don't have any other extra fees except that like monthly, the we have like different structures like monthly revenue, or monthly you can pay
yeah,
for the services, or like per transaction, depends on how your
okay,
business is. If you don't have that many transactions, then I think the monthly option is like more cheaper for you, compared to if you have like let's say a million transactions a day, then probably like you have to think about like what is best suitable for you. So we have different
okay,
flexible options available. And let's
okay,
say the other point is like you don't have a devices, so we
yeah,
basically partner. We have different partners in the industries, wide ranges. So also Shiji is also making like point of sale devices and PMS solutions available. So you can actually buy that, and that has a separate price, and then the
okay,
payment. So basically we try to help them with whatever the solution is available, or whatever we can do to help them.
Mhm.
great,
But different structures are there, different product lines are there. It depends. First we have to understand what their businesses look like, and how they are taking the payments, and what their goal is to going forward about the payments. That's we need to understand, and then we design everything for them. As long as like as I said, like money is important for the customers, for the merchants, for everyone. So we have to make sure that the consumers are not paying too much for that,
yeah.
and merchants are not losing too much for it. And that is exactly what we. So yeah, and feel free to reach out to Shiji, or if you know anybody, like if they need some guidance, we are always there to help.
And thank you for joining us today. And it was a lovely conversation. And we would like to host you again discussing about the payment, because a lot of questions and payment guidance are still pending to discuss, and we can't discuss in one show. So maybe we have to line up more shows with you. And it
Yeah,
would be payment with Ketul on CG. That could be a show name, and we can start working on that basically. And also
definitely.
and also that it's a global platform, and we have viewers around the world watching us, and I get a lot of questions right now, but it's time to I mean start a new conversation, so maybe we can join again next time. And thank you for joining us today, and it was a lovely conversation.
Yeah, thank
And
you guys. Thank you
thank you.
everyone, and looking forward to talking to you